Hello team, welcome to my session on Coffee with Prab, and today we're going to cover some coffee shots on physical security. My questions today is mapped with domain 3 of CISSP, domain 5 of CISA and domain 3 of CCSP. From this coffee shot, you will get to know how the question can be mapped, how the topics can be relayed from the extinguishers, fire suppressions and data center. Who am I? My name is Prab Nair. For more information, you can refer my LinkedIn profile. And if you're new to my YouTube channel, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss my future video. Without wasting a time, let's start with the first coffee shot. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with the first coffee shot. Which of the following fire extinguisher class is best for suppressing? Suppressing is basically called as a corrective control. If any incident happen, we need to reduce the impact. So suppressing is a corrective control. Suppressing flame is an incident in electrical equipment or wiring. Okay, so question was specifically talking about best suppressing and for electrical equipment. Option A class E, option B class C, option C class B, and option D class D. So we have a different type of suppression system. Before going to discuss about the answer, let me bring you some snacks. So we have a class A, so we have a different type of suppression system specifically, which is called as a gas-based suppression system. And we also have a water-based suppression system. So here we're talking about the gas-based. So we have a class A, which is basically for the combustible metals such as paper and wood. Then we have a class B, which is for liquids such as gasoline, kerosene, grease and oil. Class C stand for electrical equipment such as appliance and wiring. And class D involve the combustible metal. How to remember? A for ash, B for boil, C for current, and D for dry or dilute. So definitely paper and wood, if it's burned, it will be converted into ash. Gasoline, kerosene is a liquid, which is boil. C stand for current, which is called as equipments, and D stand for dry, which is basically drive to metals. So here the question was specifically talking about electrical equipments, and here I can see electrical equipments. That is why I want to go with the answer B for beta. So let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, so next coffee shot is which of the following fire extinguisher again class is best for suppressing flames in common combustible such as paper. So paper need to be converted into ash, wood is need to be converted into ash. So A stand for ash, makes sense. C for current, B for boil, and D for dilute. So what we have learned in the previous reference with the snacks was answer is A, because A is talk about A for ash, which is converted by the paper, which is burned by the paper, so it will be converted into the ash, and that is why class A is the gas extinguishers that we use for the paper and wood. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, so next is which of the following fire extinguisher class is best for suppressing flame in this time combustible metal. So A stand for ash, C stand for current, B for boil, but the question talking in metal. So we have a metal get burned, it get dry. So we need to use dry powder to prevent any incident. That is why the answer is D for delta. Let me check. Yes, D for delta. So we done with the 3 coffee shots so far. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, so we have a next coffee shot. Which of the following air pressurization is necessary in data center where sensitive equipments could become affected by airborne particles? Airborne particles are the biggest threat for the equipments. Okay, so we have an option called A, positive air pressurization, option B, negative air pressurization, option C, stream air pressurization, and option D, sensor based air pressurization. See, when you're talking about positive air pressurization and negative air pressurization, so I would like to discuss about these two first. So if you're talking about the negative air pressurization, it occurs when building pull air from the outdoor. Okay, so they pull the air from the outdoor or adjacent area through the doors or other opening area. Okay, which is actually not a good practice, because when you pull the air from outside without any validations and all that, without any verifications, or sorry, what you call filtrations and all that, it can damage the equipment. So we never want in data center to pull the air directly from outdoor. That is a negative air pressurization. And when you're talking about the positive air pressurization, is basically where the air try to escape through the doors or other opening area. I repeat again, positive pressurization or positive air pressurization is the one where the air try to escape through the door or other opening area. So in the data center, okay, any question talk about pressurization, remember answer is positive air pressurization. Okay, so HVAC is basically release the air, and the air will be come out or escape through the doors and other opening areas. So if in data center we're talking about the sensitive equipments and you want to protect against airborne particles, we never use negative air pressurization. There's nothing called as a stream air, and sensor base is more about detecting. So it doesn't basically try to protect. So only option is basically left is the positive air pressurization, which all about escaping the air to the doors or other opening, which we want in a data center. That is called as a positive air pressurization. Okay, so now before moving to the next coffee, let's have some snacks. We discuss about gas suppression system. We discuss about class A, class B, class C, class D. But now we're going to discuss about the water-based suppression system. And we have a 4 type of water-based suppression system. The first is called as a wet pipe, where the pipe with full of water. Countries like Russia, Canada, where the temperature is basically in minus, the water get freezed. If there is a issue with the pipe and all that, and there is a leakage, then it will damage the entire equipments. So that is not ideally suggestible for the company perspective. The second part is called as a dry pipe, where water is not actually held in the pipes. Water is contained in the holding tank. So this is suppose a holding tank we have, where we have water. There is no water in the pipe. It need to be released after some period of time. That is called as a dry pipe. So there is no water in the pipe. Okay, so water is contained in the holding tank. The third what we use in a data center is called as a pre-action system. So we have a water tank, and this is basically pipe, and we have some kind of a sprinklers here. It has a thermal fusible link. If there is a enough fire or enough smoke, enough heat in this area, and that fire, that smoke, whatever can able to melt this basically link, then only it release the water. So there is a delay mechanism in the pre-action system. That's why it called pre-action system are similar to dry pipe. That is true. In the water is not held in the pipe, but it release when the pressurized air within the pipe is reduced. So thermal fusible link on the sprinkler has to be melted before the water is basically released. So there is enough air, then the link need to be melted, and then only it release the water. So we get good amount of time to take out the hardware equipments from there. And last, we are using a parking areas which is called as the deluge systems, where the sprinkler heads are open and they have a more capacity to release the water. So that is called as a deluge. Okay, so these are the 4 type of sprinklers we have, or 4 type of water suppression systems we have in CISSP. Now, based on that, let me discuss the first coffee shot. What is the name of a sprinkler system that keep pipes empty and does not let water out until the specified temperature is reached and thermal fusible link on the sprinkler has to be melted before water is released activated? In dry, there is no water, but they don't wait for the thermal fusible link, so air removed. Wet is basically has a full of water, but the question talking about there's no water. Delayed mechanism, there is nothing called as a delayed mechanism. Okay, as a water suppression system, delayed as a function is there. So answer is basically called as a pre-action system, because in a pre-action system, we are waiting for this thermal fusible link to be melted and then release the water. Okay. Okay, so next coffee shot. What is the name of its sprinkler head which is wide open to allow large volume of water to be released in a shorter period? Dry pipe removed and delayed removed. We left with wet and deluge. In a wet, the pipe dimension is small, so only option is basically left is deluge system. In a parking area, you can find that suppression system. That's why the answer is 4th. Okay, let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, so next coffee shot. Okay, so next coffee shot. What is the most educate method of reducing the risk of biological agents circulating throughout a building? It means what is a educate method we have to use? Now, if you go by delayed mechanism, it is more from the point of view of water based. And class D extinguishers, again, it is for the metal. And fire suppression overall is a concept which prevent a fire, but the question is not talking fire, question talking on biological agents. So we basically use UV light filters. So UV lighting used in a HVAC system which prevent or eliminate the build of any type of organic material on the system drain pipes, cooling coils and interior ductwork. It not only improve the airflow and reduce the maintenance cost, but it also kills the microorganism that would normally thrive in a HVAC system. Okay, it's simply a smart, healthy option that makes sense no matter how you look at it. So it's a very important thing we need in the data center or HVAC system. That's why I'm going with the answer A, UV light filter. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Which gas suppression systems are not recommended in a server room or anywhere electrical equipment where people work? Keyword is people work, server room, electrical equipment. Water is definitely not a choice, that is removed. Okay, but water is required for survival. Aero-K and FM200 both are basically approved as per the ECPA. What is not approved, which is more hazardous, is basically Helen. That's why the answer is C for Charlie, Helen. Because question was specifically talking about people work. If you remove the people work, then water is not good for that also. But water is required for survival, we need to keep. But Helen is a very dangerous gas. A lot of people has died because of this Helen and all that. That's why the Helen is injurious. Opposite of that, remember from the exam point of view, Aero-K and FM200. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, what industry standard provide design certification and assess areas including a facility mechanical and electrical systems and environmental and design consideration? So we're talking about which is a standard for providing a certification. Option A, Uptime Institute, definitely it certify based on a tier 1, tier 2, tier 4. They provide the they basically assess the area, include the facility, mechanical, electrical systems, redundant systems, to make sure what kind of a tier we have. And when we obtain, when we going through the assessment, all that they certify yes, we are on the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Tier 4 is a maximum availability data center we have. So A can be the option. D is called as a IDCA, International Data Center Authority. They provide the open standard for data center facility infrastructure security point of view. So B removed. ASHRAE is basically talk about more like a temperature. Okay, what is ideally a temperature we need in the data center? And ISO 27001 is a ISMS standard. So only option is basically left is Uptime Institute. So Uptime Institute is the answer. So it is a organization which certify data centers based on a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and for each and every tier we have some criteria. If they met the criteria, Uptime will reward them as that tier 1 certification, tier 2 certification, tier 3 and tier 4. From the exam point of view, remember tier 4 is basically achieving the maximum availability. So any kind of companies who dealing with the critical healthcare maximum availability they need, they must go for the tier 4 data center. Their availability is 99.995. So let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, so which of the following is the most effective security technique required in protecting the data center? Okay, most effective security technique required in protecting a data center. Option A, access to restricted and secure area must be granted only to the extent necessary for individual to carry out the responsibility accordance with the formally approved policy and procedure. That makes sense because here the approved policy procedure is a governance, carry out a responsibility, and extent necessary, which is a principle of least privilege, access to restricted and secure area. So these some terms are used for the best practices. Option B, enforced through the multiple locks or electronic access control, but it is more from the technical and physical control. Question document effective security techniques. Third is passing from an area of lower security to an area of higher security, definitely, but without control, how can we manage that? Tolerable rate of false positive depending upon the security level. the area being protected, but it has no connect with the question. So I will go with the answer which is called as A. Access to restricted area and secure area must be granted only to the extent necessary for an individual to carry out their responsibility accordance with the formally approved policy and procedure. So it basically captures the governance, it captures the best practices, and it also captures your B and C part also. That's why I'm going with the answer A. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, so which detector system is most effective for early warning of the fire in the organization? Smoke detector, heat, flame, and water detector. Before going to answer this, we have some functions. We have a ionization which react to the charged particle of a smoke. These are different type of smoke detectors we have. Ionization detector which react to the charged particles in a smoke. Second is called as a photoelectric, which react to changes in the blockage of light. So if there is enough smoke in the room, then only the light is basically suppressed and then it raises a sensor. When enough smoke is there and heat is generated, then it reacts. It is mostly used in a data center, but I'm not waiting for educate smoke with educate heat. The question talking about early. Smoke detector basically detect the smoke, in which the first type is ionization, then photoelectric and heat. Heat detector, I will not wait for the heat to be educated and then only activate. No. Flame detector is more worst. Water detector is more from a leakage. Question talking about fire. If you ask me, or if you go by the best practice, we want the immediate alert, and that is possible when we go for the smoke detector, where I want the early particles of the smoke to be alert, and by which we can able to alert and provide the necessary controls, providing a necessary response. That's why the answer is smoke detector. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Okay, so Prab is a security consultant of Aspirants Technology. He has a meeting with the physical security manager regarding the placement of a limited cameras in the organization because of a limited budget. It means we are talking about we have a placement of cameras, and with the limited budget we have, so that is a concern because we have a limited camera for because of limited budget. What is the best recommendation Prep can give to the physical security manager regarding implementing the limited cameras in the organization? Now, challenge here is that we have a limited camera, and according to that, we need to cover the appropriate security. So positioning of cameras at an adequate height to avoid physical attack and adequate lighting in all the condition to obtain the good picture. That is my expectation. Second is appropriate lenses and ability to pan, tilt and zoom as required, but problem is that it exceeds my budget. Option C, regular servicing of moving part, ensuring that lens remain clean. That will be come into the picture when you buy. Question specifically talking about implementing with limited cameras with a budget. Option D, having a camera system tied to the alarm system. Again, it is a function. So if you ask me, if I have a limited cameras with a limited budget, I will place in such a manner that I can able to capture the pictures. That is why the answer is A. A for alpha. Let's move to the next coffee shot. What is the most effective physical control would like to suggest for data center to prevent unauthorized access? Option A, man-trap control configure with biometric. Option B, only man-trap control. Option C, install tailgating with biometric. And option D, install tailgating. See, in tailgating what happened, we have like a revolve door. One by one from the one door can be go. But in man-trap, we basically have a two doors. Suppose this is my data center. Then we have a door 1, then we have a door 2. So the person who's standing outside, first he need to scan and authenticate. This door will be open, this door will be closed, and then he will scan it again. This door will be open, then he will go inside. So the space in this between these two doors is enough for one person to stand. With the biometric, it can increase the authenticity. So a question talking about physical control would like to suggest for data center to prevent unauthorized access. Tailgating with biometric, there is a possibility that one person along with other can able to pass, but in the man trap it is not possible for two people to pass, and with biometric to establish the strong accountability you can't deny. That's why the answer is A. Install the man trap. If you get both options, select man trap as the best answer in the exam. Man trap control configure with biometric. Let's move to the next coffee shot. What is the ultimate goal of CPTED in the organization? That's a good coffee shot. What is the ultimate goal of CPTD in the organization? Option A, minimal impact on costs and result in a safer facility. What is CPTD? Crime prevention through environmental design. It is a technique. It means that okay, we adopt this technique in the building and we build in such a manner to prevent the crime. Example like everyone need to work in the open space. So we build the facility in such a manner that okay, everyone need to work in the open space. So we have a camera by which we can able to track. We have a transparent glass. The person who's standing outside cannot see inside, but the person who's standing inside can see the outside view. So we build the facility in such a manner. The placement of the facility next to the bushes, which used to cover up the building. The placement of the camera for the adequate monitoring. So these are part of the building facility. So we build the facility in such a manner to prevent the crime. That is the ultimate goal of a CPTD. So option A is minimal impact on cost and result in a safer facility. That is true because we need to provide one safer environment for my employees. Like we have a limited cabins because too many cabins, what happen is there is a possibility of fight. Option B, maximum impact on cost. Definitely CPTD was not introduced with the maximum impact on cost. Creating a climate of the safety and community by designing a physical environment that is positively influence human behavior. Option C, technique from a cost saving approach. That is true, but A and C part of the D mean minimal impact on cost, creating a climate of safety in a community by designing a physical environment that is positively influence the human behavior. That is the ultimate goal we have of the CPTD. That's why the answer is basically D. So this is all from my side. If you're new to my YouTube channel, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I already created a coffee shot series in my playlist, so you can check that playlist. Okay, and if you have any question, do share your question in the comment box, and do let me know what is the next coffee shot video you want from me in a comment box. Thank you.